Hi, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of the Generational Run podcast. I'm your host, Mads. Baseball is officially back its season, and there are so many things to talk about, so I'm very excited for tonight's show. And I wanted the first show during the regular season to be a big one. So right now I have two very special guests joining me. You might know them from their podcast, NY MLB Talk, which also happened to be the very first podcast that I was a guest on all the way back in September. And I thought it would only be right to flip it around and have both of you on my show tonight. So I'd like to welcome Rob and Chris of the NY MLB Talk Podcast to my show.
Thanks, Mads.
You're welcome. Oh, Chris is muted.
Yeah, Chris is muted. He's new at this.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Hey, Madison. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Chris.
This is fun. This is like so different. I'm the one in charge now.
There you go.
That's right.
So I promise we'll talk Yankees and Mets just for you, Rob.
Thank
you. I wanted to definitely talk to you first about the first Mets game. You guys shut down Skeens. I want to hear your thoughts on that because I was in class when that game was on.
You know, we did it with a little help. Oh, go ahead, Madison. Sorry.
No, I was in class during that game, so I'm trying to keep up, and it was just I knew Skeens was starting for Pittsburgh, and it was like the Mets score 1, the Mets are up 2, 3, 4. I couldn't keep up with it. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, you know what basically happened? Somebody named O'Neill Cruz was playing center field for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he had a horrible day. So there was a little help from him. But you know, the Mets looked pretty good the first game. You know, they were playing small ball mostly, and it was working. So you know, I cannot complain about it. It was a fun game, and to knock Skeens out, he looked shell shocked. I don't know if you guys. Well, I know Chris was watching it, but if you just saw. He looked shell-shocked. It was amazing. No one expected that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I think, coming off of the WBC performance. He was like, it was just nails, both of those starts. And that was just so crazy to me.
Yeah, and it could be the WBC effect also. You know, he was so into it, and it was like so much pressure, and he looked good. And maybe he was just overworked because it's not a regular spring training when you're pitching like that. You know, that's a high pressure game for these guys. So that could be, you know, that could be a factor in it also. But he did have pretty bad defense behind him on opening day.
I think that was the shell shock. I think, first of all, I think Skeens performs well under pressure. I think he's just one of those guys who can perform in that kind of situation. But also you had Bobby Witt Jr., at shortstop catching everything. You had all of it was Team USA. You had all these great guys.
Yes.
All these all-stars behind you. And I think that was the shock to him was to come back to the Pirates and have that defense behind him.
That's definitely a shock.
And you know what? He didn't have his best stuff. Like early, even before he got knocked out, you could tell he wasn't as sharp as, like we normally see him as. But yeah, O'Neill Cruz missed 2 fly balls that should have had. And I don't get, Pittsburgh, was he that bad at shortstop to move him to center field? I don't remember him being that bad. He couldn't have been worse than that. I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Why move him? Just leave him somewhere. All right, he may not be great, but the guy's he's got a great bat,
Yeah.
And then he gets on base, he steals bases. I mean, he's a really good ball player. Now he's really messed up. Who knows? I mean, they got to figure him out though, because
and Chris, why wasn't he wearing sunglasses?
That's I have no idea. To me, that's common sense, right? Not even baseball sense. You're going to center field in the middle of, it was a gorgeous day on opening day too. It was warm. It was sunny out. I mean, why wouldn't you want to wear,
shades?
I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
He had him on today, by the way.
Oh, I wonder
he learned his lesson. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. It was fun though. It was fun to see Skeens get knocked out in the, he didn't last the first inning. So that, for Met fans, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I know all that happened in the first inning. I was shocked That was crazy. And then you guys walked it off
yesterday. Yeah.
Yesterday. Yep.
Yeah. Yesterday
That's
we
exciting.
walked it off. Robert, I think Robert coming over from Chicago, I think it's renewed him because he had a couple of hits today also. You go from the depths of that terrible White Sox team, right? And it's like I escaped. And he's in New York, and now he knows he has a chance to win. So I think he's going to have a really good year this year.
Yeah,
I think that's
too.
a move that I loved about the Mets. But then again, so they won a walk-off yesterday, and then they blew it today. They lost in extra innings, that damn ghost runner that everybody hates.
Oh, I don't like the ghost runner. That was the first thing that I said when I came on your show, I think, back in September. Get rid of the ghost runner.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is today, it's not funny, but the Richard Lovelady came in yesterday, and then he came in today. And this is I want to talk about this real fast, and then you can get to your Yankee stuff because I have to talk about this. I don't know what the obsession with this guy is with the Mets, right? Last year, they signed him, they DFA'd him. They signed him, they DFA'd him again. And then they signed him and they DFA'd him again 3 times last season. And then me and Chris were saying, and then he was on the Yankees. But no, it's the Mandela effect. He wasn't on the Yankees. We just remember him on the Yankees. It's just like the Mandela effect. It's like, we're like, how did he do for the Yankees? Chris looks it up. He didn't play for the Yankees. I'm like, what? I could have sworn he did.
I thought so.
Yeah,
I did come up on waivers or something, and then you got rid of him.
Chris, I wonder if you're thinking of Adam Ottavino because he went back and forth last year.
Right. It probably is.
But I did too. I did double take, and I thought that Richard Lovelady was a Yankee. So, I mean, maybe it is the Mandela effect.
It might be the Mandela effect, but he was on Toronto. That's definite. He was on Toronto and the Mets 3 times. This is the 4th time. And after today's game, we'll see if he's DFA'd again tomorrow. So I had to mention that. It's the Mandela effect with this guy.
I mean, I feel like there's a few players who that just happens to. Like, it was just they get signed and then they're DFA'd and then they get picked up by a different team and then they get picked up by that first team. It's like, it's so funny.
Yeah. It's not that funny anymore when the way this guy pitches. I don't get the obsession with him.
The guy, if you're a lefty and if you could get out, now you need to get righties out before the 3-batter rule came into effect. Lefty pitchers, Rob will answer to this too. Like, they lasted forever. If your arm can handle it, someone's going to sign you, to get lefties out. But now you have to get righties out at some point because, there's that 3-batter rule now. But so that's why this guy's going to last, because I guess he gets righties out. I mean, not today, but at some point.
Or listen. Not yesterday either. He just got lucky yesterday. So there's my rant about Richard Lovelady. Really, maybe he'll be DFA'd tomorrow. But then he'll be back next month. So what's the difference?
I was gonna say he's gonna come back anyway.
Yeah, really. He haunts you, this guy.
Yes, definitely. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, you took 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh. That's still a good, as long as you keep winning series, that's all that matters. Would have been great to sweep like the other New York team, of course. But hey, you know what? You take 2 out of 3. That's not a.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, me too. We're not on our show now, so now the gloves can come off.
Hey, the Marlins are 3-0 too, so that's a little bit.
Anything they swept us last year. I'm like so terrified to play them. Like.
I know.
Because we're both undefeated, so someone has to lose.
They did it with 8,000 people in the stadium.
Yeah, that's an embarrassment. It
really is. Opening weekend, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so you guys, look at you guys, not giving up hardly any runs already.
Just one. I don't know if you guys saw the graphic I posted, but it was like how many runs has your team given up? And it was just the Yankees have given up 1 and every other team was more than 1.
Somebody actually wrote, because it's against the Giants. The Giants were a 500 team last year.
Yeah, a Blue Jays fan said play a real team or something. I was like, you're playing the A's right now.
I know. Hello. The A's had 5 less wins than these horrible Giants. So
Yeah.
what are we talking about here?
I was very happy with the offense and the defense. I think the offense needs to pick up a little bit more. Last year we scored 36 runs in that first opening series against Milwaukee. We swept them, but we also gave up 14 of those runs back.
Right.
So, those runs mean nothing if you're going to give them right back. And this year, this first series, they only gave up 1 run. So I was, the offense did what they needed to do. The defense kept the runs to a minimum. I'm very excited to see what this team's going to do. What about you?
Yeah. Listen, this series just showed you how good this Yankee pitching is going to be, right? We know the offense. You know who's up there. You got Judge, you got Stanton, Ben Rice, Jazz. We know the offense is going to be really good, right? I think we scored the most runs last year in the league. So the offense is going to be fine. The pitching is going to be even better, right? By the beginning of June, end of May, we're going to have Carlos Rodon returning and Garrett Cole to this rotation that's already looking great with Max Fried. Cam Schlittler looks even better than what we've seen last year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be your 1 through 4, and then your 5 could be Will Warren, and he's been really good. He probably wasn't as sharp as he normally is at the beginning of the game against San Fran yesterday, right? But, I mean, they still only gave up 1 run in 3 games. I don't care who you're playing, right? The Giants are all right. They're not the best team, but they're not the worst either. I mean, this is a pretty decent team. They're a 500 team. Some people thought, maybe they could get into the wild card race this year and all that. But, man, I can't wait until – I mean, now we got a great pitching staff. Imagine, like I said, in another month or 2, when you got Rodon and Cole as part of this rotation, I mean, what are we going to do with Luis Hill and Weathers? Are they both going to go into the bullpen? The bullpen has been great so far.
Yeah.
What are we going to do here?
I did want to ask you about that because at this point we've seen 3 out of the 4 starters because we only have a 4-man rotation. So after April 11th, when we don't have any more off days, who's that 5th guy? Who do you bring up? Is it Heel? I don't think we've seen Yarbrough pitch yet.
No.
Or is it someone else from Scranton that they're going to bring up? Like, what do you think they're going to do?
I think it's going to be Heel. They've kind of already said that, but you never know. You know what? At this point, it's so good. It could be anybody, but I would take a guess and say it's Heel. The big question is going to be who's going to be pushed out of the rotation when Rodon comes back, because he should be here, I think, by the end of this month, right?
They said at first it was May. First it was like mid-May, and then it was beginning of May, and now they're saying end of April. So he must be progressing quickly and performing well. If they're saying that, I hope they don't rush him back. I don't think they will. I really want to see him succeed because how he's been, in the last few seasons. So I feel like that would be detrimental to him if he came back before he was absolutely ready to go. And I saw a tweet today, and I'm not sure if you guys saw it. It had a decent amount of views, so it was definitely circulating. But it was, what is the key to avoiding the summer swoon? And I think it's the pitching. I think you're staggering all of these guys back. Our rotation's usually gassed by June, and we don't have any reinforcements, and the bullpen just blows up. I think staggering the starting rotation back and slowly moving some of the, back-end starters to the bullpen is going to be what ultimately helps us avoid that. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that too, because it happens every year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think to me, the bigger part is going to be the bullpen. And even before the season started, Rob and I were discussing, like the key factors of the team. I thought to me, the 2 big X factors for the Yankees, for me, is Bednar and Duvall. If those guys lock down the 9th and 8th inning of games, think about how much better we would have been last year if the first half of the season, Devin Williams wasn't blowing games, or Weaver or whoever else was there blowing games for us, right? I mean, now if these guys can lock it down, and listen, Duvall looked great in his appearance, right, against the Giants. I mean, his ball was just diving. So
his former team too. Usually that's kind of like
yeah.
that could be a nerve-wracking thing.
Exactly. So I think those guys, if they could lock it down and the rest of the bullpen just kind of, falls into place in the 7th and 6th innings, this team is going to be really good. And I don't think we're going to see a June swoon or a July swoon this year because the pitching is going to be so good, especially in the bullpen.
Yeah, I think that's just a characteristic of New York baseball. I feel like it happens to the Mets too, right? I mean, maybe not as bad, but Rob, how do you feel? Because you have Devin Williams and you have Luke Weaver, who blew so many games for us last year. I feel like I think Devin played for you guys yesterday, correct?
Listen, both of them.
How
Yeah.
did he
So Luke Weaver pitched also yesterday.
Okay.
He's pitched twice. Listen, they got into a little trouble, but they both got out of it. So far, so good. Me and Chris talk about this all the time. About the Mets bullpen. I joke around. It looks like the Yankees. The Mets bullpen.
Because it is.
Like the Yankees. Yeah, really. But Williams, and we joked about, did Pete Alonso, did he ruin Williams with that home run in Milwaukee? And
I love how people are still talking about that.
And we know how, how it started, how his season started last year, but he finished all right for you guys. I'm still on the fence with him. He's Stern's guy anyway, so I'm not shocked that Stern signed him. I mean, and before his season with the Yankees and before that home run by Alonso, the guy was an excellent relief. He was an excellent closer. So I want to see how he does back in the National League with the Mets before I make a decision. Same thing with Weaver. He got in a little trouble too, a couple of base runners, but he got out of it. So far, so good. But yeah, you want to know why your bullpen's doing so good? Because they're all with the Mets now. That's why.
Listen, I don't know if people call him, I really believe in Luke Weaver this year. He was incredible in the 2024 postseason. He went from a starter, and I think, was it the Reds? Was he on the Reds, or was it St. Louis?
The Reds, yeah.
The Reds. Yeah. Okay, so he was a starter, one of the worst starters in the league. Matt Blake turned him into this absolute demon of a reliever / closer. He took the closer role when they took it away from Clay Holmes, who is also on the Mets now. Yeah. And then in 2025, he got hurt, and he was on the 30-day IL. And he came back in exactly 30 days. They rushed him back, and it impacted the complete second half of his season. So I think now he's fully healed, and I hope he does great things for you guys, and I hope Devin Williams does great things for you guys. It just did not work out on the Yankees.
Yeah, well, listen, we saw what Holmes did for the Mets last year, right? They turned him into a starter. He had a great season, most innings he ever pitched, and he had a really, really good season. So I hope that these guys also follow, but we'll see. 3 games in, and they're all right. They're doing okay. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do. I mean, I did feel bad for Williams as much as I complained about him. I mean, that sucks to be one of the best closers, if not the best, in the game. And then you come to the team with, you're under the bright lights all the time, and it just blows up. So, yeah, I mean, it did feel bad, but he stayed in way too many times. They should have taken the closer all away. They should have never given it back to him.
Right. He should have pushed to the 8th inning. Right.
Because he was dominating when he was playing in the 7th and the 8th inning. Yep. It was like, where was this, all beginning of the season? And then people will say, oh, well, he's finally settled in August. It shouldn't take till August to settle into that closer role if you're a closer.
Yep. I think O'Neill said it on one of the broadcasts, or he said it multiple times. He said the pinstripes are heavy for some, right? Sometimes you put the pinstripes on, it's the complete opposite. You become this like, oh my God, I'm a really good player and I'm on this team, and they just go crazy. But it's the opposite with some guys too. They just can't. I don't know. They just can't handle it.
It's the New York thing. It's a New York thing, Chris. Because like a real quick example with the Mets, they're already booing Bo Bichette already. I mean, 3 games. calm down already, guys. I mean, this is what happens. And he said today, they asked him how he felt about that. He said, I don't care. He says, I deserve it. He says, my at-bats really have stunk so far this year. But that's the point. Sometimes they don't even give him a chance. Or, say they go across from the Yankees to the Mets or vice versa. Like, Soto, right? When he went back to Yankee Stadium last year for the Subway Series, he actually, now that's somebody who looks shell-shocked, right?
He was not expecting that. He was expecting, probably a mixed. I don't think he was expecting all cheers, but he was probably expecting a mixed reaction, not the visceral booing that he got.
That was crazy. I remember that first Subway Series game in May. It was a Friday night. Yep. They skipped the commercial break in the first inning so they could show the crowd booing him.
Yeah,
I had never seen anything like it. Like, they go to commercial break the second that last out is made. And I'm like, what is happening? And I realized, oh my God, they're purposely showing everyone booing him as he's walking out.
Yep. I can't remember the last time we seen a player jump ship like that good, that didn't re-sign with the Yankees and go to a rival, whether it was the Mets or another team, especially the Mets. I mean, we've never seen that.
Yeah.
Like Anderson, I think, did that, but the Yankees didn't want to sign him. So it wasn't like like he said no to the Yankees and ended up signing with the Mets. Other players, I was trying to go back and think. I don't remember a player doing that.
And I think a lot has come out since then that, his family pressured him into it and everything. I don't know what to believe, but do you guys think
he got the better deal?
Right? He did get the better deal for sure.
It's
like all this stuff came out about him and Lindor fighting and everything. I feel like there's been a lot of rumors, and they're all different, but they kind of all follow the same track. It's all, it's rocky.
Smoke, right? There's probably when there's a lot of smoke, there's fire, whatever. I'm sure not everything was great last year because they didn't play good. So I'm sure they weren't happy playing on a team that was not going to make the playoffs. So I'd be pissed off too. But I'm sure, listen, once they get going, they'll be fine this year. You'll see it. We're not going to see a problem because Soto, at least I don't think Soto was a problem. At least with the Yankees, I don't remember hearing anything remotely being an issue, and we talked about it too. Like, there's no captain on the Mets, and you don't really need a captain, but you need leaders, right?
Yes.
Cohen said, as long as I'm here, there's going to be no captain. All right, that's fine. But you need guys that are going to be leaders on that team. Just like going years back when Jeter was on the Yankees, he wasn't the only leader on that team. He was the captain. Yeah, that was more for the fans and for everybody else. But there were leaders on that team, right? You could go up and down that roster. There were guys that were leaders on that team. And I think possibly the Mets got to figure out, okay, Soto, if you're obviously making the most money, you're the superstar here, you got to lead the way. But other guys have to step in and kind of help out because he may not be that guy. He may not be the leadership type guy, but he has to show some type of leadership.
Well, you know what? I showed you I sent you the video. They had a video of Soto with Carson Bench, right? Where he actually is taking the kid under his wings and they show, they're walking, he has his arm around him, they're laughing in the dugout, they're, giving high fives and, they were saying like, he's my new best friend or whatever. Soto didn't look unhappy in that video. Chris saw the video.
Yeah. No, I think that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of this is overblown just because, listen, the team just wasn't good last year. So they probably weren't happy playing. So guess what? Yeah, they might have, maybe they did have a couple of arguments with each other, right? Because
they must have
playing good. I'd be that way. I'd be very cranky if I'm on a team that was supposed to win and winning, right?
Listen, guys, tell me McNeil got into fights with people. You know that happened to club. And I want to say hello. Who is that? Vladdy is king. One of your Toronto people, one of your Blue Jays fans, right?
Yep.
Thanks for saying hi.
Why are we talking about the lame Mets? We're just throwing Rob a bone. That's all.
They're throwing me a bone, but here's my answer to you, Juan Soto. Okay, go on, guys.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that the Mets are going to be very good this year. I think they're going to be serious contenders. I'm all for a Subway Series, World Series.
Me too.
Only if the Yankees win, of course.
No, but ask Chris if he wants to see the Mads. Ask Chris what he thinks about the Subway Series for the World Series.
I do not want to see a Subway Series.
You don't? Okay.
Ask anybody who went through it. It was.
I went through it, and it was worse.
Yeah, right, because you guys lost.
Yeah.
That type of series, even if they play this year, it's a series that the Yankees can't win. Even if they win, it's not going to be, because if they win, it's going to be like, yeah, of course, the Yankees had to win, right? They got to beat the Mets. But if we lose, it's going to stay with us for.
Yeah, I feel like it would be bad now that I think about it. I just want them to win because I don't really remember the last time they won. So
Listen,
I'd like to be able to watch this one.
Yeah, I had to carry a kid out of Shea Stadium after that last out, and he must have been about 12 or something, and he was yelling and screaming at the Yankee fans like, I had to get this kid out of here. That's how bad it was.
I'm telling you, it would be, especially, I mean, you're going to live the rest of your life, Madison, with Met fans saying, yeah, but we beat you in the World Series. That's what they're going to say. Oh, we beat you.
Yeah, I feel.
And they are. We are.
That's no matter what. We don't care about 27 World Championships. We beat you in the World Series, and that's all that matters. That's going to be there.
You know what? I can get behind that. I think let's just agree that the Dodgers cannot three-peat.
Yeah.
No one wants that. Nobody wants that.
Someone has to pull a Tanya Harding on Ohtani and Mookie Betts, something. Something's got to get done here. We can't have 3 in a row, right?
I mean, or, a gambling scandal or,
We
tried that. It didn't work with Ohtani. He's like invincible.
Yeah. He's invincible. Every other guy gets suspended, but not Ohtani because, listen, Ohtani
I know Profar's on
his untouchable
suspension.
He's untouchable. He's the untouchable player. We can't. A big scandal came out. He's like, I didn't bet. It was my,
interpreter.
All right. Nobody argued the point. It was like MLB was like, oh, all right, well, it was his interpreter. Yeah, we believe him. Clase is like, I didn't do that. Yeah, right.
Okay, you're out. And take your friend with you.
And then you have someone like Profar who's like, this is his second time on Peds. Like,
oh God.
Yes, that's just stupidity. I don't care. Like me and Chris talk about that a lot. We talk about Cano, right? Like, how could he let it happen 2 times? And Chris's answer, Chris, go ahead. What's your answer?
With which one?
The trainer with Cano say like he believes the trainer when they say it's all right.
Yeah, I to be honest, I don't get it with Cano because Cano was like a Hall of Fame second baseman.
Right.
He was with the Yankees. You look at his numbers. That guy was going to be a Hall of Famer. This guy was one of the greatest second basemen. He signs the contract, goes to Seattle. He plays a couple of years, right? A couple of all-star seasons. And then it's boom. He tests positive. And then he tested again. Like, what are you doing? I just don't understand it with these guys. I just don't.
It's crazy.
And the Cano thing made no sense because he did it after he signed his 10-year contract, fully guaranteed contract. So he could stink the rest of his career playing under that contract. And he would have got that money regardless. And he was going to play till like 39, 40 years old. And he would have been fine. He would have gotten paid no matter how bad. Look at A-Rod, right? The last few years.
Yeah.
He was not good. And guess what? He was still collecting that $25 million or $30 million contract, whatever he was getting. And then they released him. They made him stay home for $25 million, A-Rod, right? So, like, that's if that would have been Cano, that would have been Cano. But it's crazy. Yeah, he should have never left the Yankees. That was the worst thing. I mean, he was going to be in Monument Park. His number had been retired, all of that. And he blew it. Literally blew it.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. I don't know.
It does. Listen, that's what happened with Strawberry, right? Now he says the worst thing I ever did was leave the Mets and sign with the Dodgers. And that's So it happens, these guys, whatever they see, whatever they think, they make this mistake. Me, if I'm a Met or Yankee, I'm staying there if I could.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
I don't know.
I don't either.
All right, I want to ask Chris, how do you feel about Judge so far? Because I know he's getting a lot of smoke right now for the strikeouts.
Yeah, it's all right. Listen, give him the smoke. He doesn't care. You think he cares? He's going to be fine. He's already got a couple of home runs. He'll be fine. That's the one guy we do not have to worry about. I have no problems whatsoever with him. Listen, that whole thing, all right, he went 0 for 4, 0 for 5 with 4 Ks on opening night. Right. And then the next day, Stephen A. Smith is talking about his postseason. He can't hit in the clutch. I'm like, why are we talking about postseason play when it's game 1 of 162? Like, what are we doing here? You know what? In October, when the Yankees are in the playoffs, bring it up then. Then we could talk about, well, Judge has to do this. And I totally agree. I'm with you. He does have to come up big in the playoffs. I am 100%. I'm not denying it. I'm not saying he hasn't, whatever. But we don't talk about that game 1 of 162 game season. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm like, what are we doing here? Let the season go. Let us get to October. Then get on top of him, and
then you have to listen to Smoltz too.
No, please.
we got to start muting that guy when he's on. Just hit mute and we'll just put the radio call on and that's it.
He just doesn't shut up. He could talk and talk without taking a breath. It's like, all right, enough already.
And it's so monotone. It's like it's not even enjoyable to listen to.
Right.
Like it literally puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't
Chris,
help that he doesn't like the Yankees either. It's like, how are you even in this position right now?
It might be, but like with you guys were talking about Judge and what they were saying in game 1, right? Can it be because of the WBC, because he didn't come through there? So do you think because it's so close to that's why they're saying he just chokes in important games?
But he wasn't the only one that didn't.
Yeah, no.
Right. I was going to say it wasn't just him. I feel like
it wasn't.
Definitely a theme that he performs not as well in those situations, but it wasn't just him. I mean, Cal Raleigh went 0 for whatever. Like he just He had Bryce Harper who didn't hit until the final game.
Right, when he hit the home run.
You're right.
He gave us all this much hope, and then we lost.
Right. Yeah. And then the Red Sox had to blow it for us, but let's not.
The Red Sox. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Judge. I think he's just always in the spotlight, so he just naturally it just falls on him that he gets all that smoke.
And he deserves it. He deserves it. He does.
Right, because if you're being held to that standard, and people know, because in 2024 they're like, oh, this is Judge's prime, and then last year they're like, oh, this is his prime. He just keeps getting better and better. Like you can't be slacking like that.
Yeah, I totally. And you know what? And this is probably going to be his only shot at the WBC, because when you think about it, in 3 years, when the next one rolls around, he's going to be what, 36?
The next one is actually in 2030. They're going to the 4-year format. So I don't think he'll
you definitely
with insurance and everything, he's not going to be able
to.
I think
37, right?
Yes. So he'll be able to play, I think, in the Olympics. I think he plans on doing that in 2028, but I don't think he'll play in the WBC in 2030 because I mean they didn't let Mike Trout play for insurance reasons. So I feel like it'll probably be the same thing for him.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that just added more pressure and more on top of, of him not performing, right? But he wasn't the only one. And to bring that up and to bring the postseason numbers up when we're getting, getting past opening night, like, I mean, come on, let's just give it a rest. In October, we're going to hear about it, right? As soon as October rolls around, the playoffs start, we're going to hear it. So that's why I was joking, but not fully joking with Rob the other night. I said, I think it's time that Judge should start seeing like a psychiatrist, a sports psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, just to kind of keep his mind level, because think of all the pressure. There's nobody in baseball, and you could probably make the argument in sports, in the 4 major sports, that is under more pressure than Aaron Judge to win a championship. I can't think of another one.
Well, just given the circumstances, the team hasn't won since 2009. He's the captain. Yeah. It's, they essentially made A-Rod retire so they could, bring up all the new blood and everything. I think, right? I think, how could you be under less pressure than Aaron Judge? Like or more pressure than him.
Yeah, I don't think there's a player in any major sport right now that's under more pressure than Aaron Judge to win a championship. I really don't. I don't think it is. Right. But I think when the postseason starts, he's definitely pressing. Right. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. A guy that good all year. I mean, this guy was MVP. We've seen it. Batted 330, 50 plus home runs, and then he looks like. Well, this year he did have a good postseason.
He did for sure.
He did.
He had the big home run against the Blue Jays also.
Yep.
But you could tell it's definitely.
You can tell the same way that when you walk into Yankee Stadium in a regular season game versus walking into Yankee Stadium for a wild card game or a division series game. The atmosphere is just different. And I think for Aaron Judge, he's this, absolute beast, and he's always hitting. He's always getting home runs. He's stealing bases. He's making insane plays in the field. And then October comes and you have that first playoff game and it's like, who is this guy? I mean, it's the same way that Giancarlo Stanton turns into a beast the second that he plays in October, which I think he's leading the league in singles right now, which is so funny because he can't open a bag of chips, but he's hitting 114 miles an hour.
Think about this. This is where you could ask people. Think about this for a second. Who was the right fielder during those years with the Yankees when they won? Right, it was Paul O'Neill. Mm-hmm. Love Paul O'Neill, one of my favorite players. Let's say if we swapped Paul O'Neill and Aaron Judge, right? And Aaron Judge was the right fielder during the late 90s, early 2000s run. Would they have still won all those championships? Absolutely, because of the great team that was there. It wasn't because of one guy. And that's how it's got to be on these teams. It can't be just Judge, because Judge is not going to hit a home run in every game in the playoffs. We'd love to see it, but it's just not going to do it, right? So someone else has to step up. Yes, Stanton did step up, and guess what? In 2024, we had Juan Soto stepping up. So, and Judge had a pretty good playoff that year, right? Mm-hmm. If you remember, he had the big home run against the Indians. Against the Guardians, I think it was against Clase, right? To tie the game.
Yeah, yes.
He had a couple of big hits against Kansas City in that series. So I think he just needs not that he needs help, but he just needs other guys just to step up a little bit, to take a little bit of the pressure off, and then everything will be fine. Yeah. Because you're not going to win. The whole thing is, my point is, you're not winning it by yourself, right? Judge is not winning, right? If they win, even if he has a great playoff and great World Series and all that, it's not going to be just because of him, because we still need great pitching. We still need, Bednar to step up and close the games, right? We still need everything else. So that's my point. It's not just Judge, just like we said about the WBC. It's not just Judge. It's the team. If the team's got to play better. Yes, he has to play better too, but the team has to play better.
And I think, I know it's only the first series, but to think that we played that first game with Judge was 0 for 4. The pitching held the other team to a shutout. We still scored 7. We're hitting for contact now, which is great, instead of swinging for the fences. I think that was something they said they were going to work on in the offseason, and they did. But, we did all of that without Judge. They did step up.
Right. There you go.
So if you could do that in the postseason and, have Judge, they're all working together like that, they're going to win.
Right. Just look at this past year with the Dodgers, right? Went to 7 games, all that. Yeah, everybody stepped up on that team. It wasn't just one guy. It wasn't just Ohtani. It wasn't just Yamamoto, right? It was like that whole team. Yeah. Who was the closer? Think about it. Who was the closer for the Dodgers, right? They just pieced it all together. They figured it out like on the fly. They basically figured it out, right? Because their closer that they signed last year, He totally stunk last year, so they had to replace him, and they figured it out. And that's what it's all about. The Blue Jays, same thing. They got to the World Series and got to a 7-game with the Dodgers, not just because of Vladdy. That team played great together. They got hot at the end of the year, rode it into the playoffs, and voila, they get to a 7-game with the Dodgers in the World Series.
It takes you're right. It takes teamwork. It takes teamwork. And that's what it's all about. I have a question for you guys, a Yankee question. Okay, so the Yankees are going good. The first month and a half, they're in first. They got a pretty good lead already, and then Volpe comes back from the IL. What happened?
Well,
I don't know. That's a good question. What if Cabby is hitting great? Like, he's playing great right now.
So I want to believe that as long as Cabby is hitting, they're going to keep him in. But I feel like we know this team well enough to know that, Volpe comes back and he gets shortstop back. As much as you don't want it to happen, I mean, Volpe was injured last year. Maybe he comes back and he's great. We don't know. But I wish, or I hope that, it's kind of, maybe Volpe plays a game and then Cabby plays a game. And I just so you can kind of see where Volpe's at the major league level again. Because like you said, if Cabby's hitting, I don't see a need to change that.
Right. I totally agree. The big thing is, though, Volpe has to prove it in his rehab process, right? Down in the minors as a stud, not going to hear otherwise. Yeah, I'm sure an Oriole fan wants to have Volpe. It makes sense for him to say that. But no, I don't want to turn the page on Volpe either, right? I don't want to turn the page and think, all right, we don't need him anymore, right?
Right.
I just think he has to prove himself before they even think about bringing him up. That's my opinion with him. If he's hitting great and he looks ready to come up and they bring him up, I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, you still got to make room for him on the roster. You're not getting rid of Cabby. Maybe they dump Rosario. I don't know. It's a
I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to that.
Yeah. We'll see. I think somebody might
want to believe that they're making, smart decisions this year, but only time will tell. I was very happy with, the pitching decisions and the lineup decisions for this first series. And I feel like usually by this point already we're screaming at our TVs at Boone, being like, why would you put him in this situation and everything? I didn't have any complaints, which is unusual. So I'm hoping that this is finally the year where they start making decisions that don't have to go with, the analytics nerds in the front office.
Well, think about it. They're not tied up to any of them financially, right? Whether it's Caballero, whether it's Volpe, Rosario, nobody's making a lot of money. So nobody's being forced to play. That's how I look at it, and even with, I know a lot of people arguing with Grisham and, why isn't Dominguez up or why isn't Spencer Jones up? Listen, if Grisham stinks, like if he's really bad going into May, end of May, early June, I think they'll pull the plug and they'll bring up either Dominguez or Spencer Jones, whoever's hitting well, right? I think that's going to happen. Let's hope it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying if Grisham is that bad, they're going to pull the plug. He's on a 1-year deal. Who cares, right?
And I think once the trade deadline comes around, they can trade him because he accepted the qualifying offer. So I think that means nobody else can touch him until the
June,
trade deadline. I think it's the trade deadline.
Okay. All right. So that'll work out.
So Rob, he'll be on the Mets.
There you go. You know why? Because Luis Robert is going to get hurt because he gets hurt a lot. They're going to need a center fielder, and boom.
I told you guys back in December that Trent Grisham is going to end up a Met. I am sticking to that.
I don't know. Now all of a sudden, it used to be the opposite way. Now all of a sudden, Yankee fans are feeling like, this one's going to end up a Met. Steinbrenner used to do that to us all the time, right? Cone, Gooden, Strawberry, all the time. The boss did that. So, maybe Uncle Stevie wants a little payback now.
Oh, he got him back with Soto. That was a big one. Trust me.
Yeah, it definitely
it was a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we do have a lot of depth in AAA, which is, obviously not a bad thing.
Amazing.
I just think if stuff starts to go off the rails, if people stop performing or if people get hurt, that they bring up those people at the right time instead of letting them sit in AAA, wasting away their talent. But I don't know. Only time will tell with that one.
You know what? We know injuries are going to happen, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
We got a team with a lot of guys over 30 years old, right? So it's going to happen. Injuries are bound to happen. So it's great to have, like in years past, even recently, we haven't had this kind of depth down in AAA, right? We didn't have guys like,
we
man,
haven't.
right. If a guy on offense, whether it's an outfielder or whatever, they got guys that are going to come up right away. Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, they got Cabrera.
And they're ready to come up.
Yes.
Like I posted about it maybe a week or two ago, that at the start of last season, we're fighting for the last roster spots, between people who were not ready to come up. We're fighting between Oswaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza, I don't know, a bunch of other guys who were not ready to come up. But you basically just, all right, who's the best of the worst here?
Right. That's what and
trying to come up.
We got
and
guys.
Now, Spencer Jones is in AAA. Jason Dominguez is in AAA. Cabrera. Who else?
And then on the pitching side, you have
Legrand, Rodriguez.
Yeah.
It's just now you're fighting for actual roster spots of people who are deserving of those spots.
And even before you get to those guys, like you mentioned earlier, you got Rodon and Cole on the way up within a month or two. Those guys are going to be on this roster, right? So that's two more pitchers that you're going to have to figure out, right? Whether Wells goes down or Hill. To even think that Hill might have to go down to AAA when one of them comes up. It's crazy to think that, but that's where we're at. The guy that just won Rookie of the Year, 2 years ago, they're sending down because, by the way, we got Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, exactly.
The rotation. So it's crazy. It's amazing. That's how good this team is right now. They just gotta do their thing. Just play like they're basically like last year. If they play like last year, but only a little bit better, it's gonna end well.
Rodon and Cole making my division even harder. Yeah, I can't wait for Rodon to come back. He's my favorite pitcher.
Yeah, but you guys have the polar bear.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I want to ask you guys one more serious question, and then I have some fun questions for you guys. So for both of you, what is something that excites you about your current team, and what is one thing that's making you nervous from what you've seen so far? I know it's early.
Exciting me with the Mets, the 12 hot dog challenge. That's what's exciting me right now with the Mets.
That was I don't know what I was expecting.
That's a Frank the Tank answer right there.
I know.
About the hot dogs and this team.
What's exciting me about this team? That there's, I'm happy now that there's new blood. Now that I'm seeing what's going on. I was a little bummed about Alonso, definitely Diaz, but Nimmo, they didn't win with that core. I'm excited that it's a mixture of veterans and we have kids. I'm excited about Benj. I want to see how he's going to do in the major leagues. So, and McLean having a full season. So I'm happy with the mixture of veterans and young players on the Mets. And what scares me, the bullpen, the Yankees who are in the bullpen right now. Okay, seriously, that's what scares me.
Well, what excites me is how good the pitching has been so far in the first 3 games. I know it's the Giants and all that, but I see how good this pitching is going to be. The bullpen's going to be really good. Like I said, the offense from before, I think the offense is going to be what it is. Another thing that excites me is Ben Rice fielding first base. He looks really good.
He looks really, really good.
Right? Like you could tell this kid put the work in. I really wish Dominguez put the work in like that, because then we'd have no issue in the outfield, but with him. But yeah, those two things got me excited. What scares me or what doesn't get me excited is that the shoe's gonna fall off at some point, right? Like it's gonna happen. An injury is gonna happen. I don't think a June swoon's gonna happen, but I could see an injury or two or Rodon or Cole, something's going to happen to them on their way up. And
Ooh, don't say that.
that's
Not Rodon, no.
I don't want it to come true, and I'm trying not to think about it. So, but if I was worried or not liking something, that's the fear of that.
Yeah.
How about you,
I
Matt?
think I'm excited that, obviously right now there's no injuries, and I'm excited for the bats this year. I think Ben Rice is going to have a really big impact, and I hope that they do follow through with the, don't swing for the fences philosophy. I think we need to hit more for contact right now. Obviously, we're known as the Bronx Bombers, and that does work to our advantage. You'll have a couple of games throughout the season where you're scoring 20 runs against the other team. But I really hope that they, follow through with the hitting for contact, because it seems to be working for them. And I know it's the Giants, but usually this team is one that will blow up when they're playing the Rockies. So, I think it's a good thing the way that they're playing right now, even though it was the Giants. It's something that's making me nervous. Yeah. The impending injuries.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been so lucky so far. I think it was kind of a running joke when spring training first started, and everyone was having their interviews, and all these injuries were coming out, as they do over the course of the off season, and everyone was tweeting like, yeah, this injury list is about to be a whole lot longer once Aaron Boone has his press conference. And then the first question they ask is, is anyone else injured that we don't already know about? Meaning, Volpe, Cole, and Rodon. And he's like, no, everyone looks good so far. I'm like, wow. So I just feel like if an injury happens, it's going to be a pretty bad one, just because of how lucky we've been so far. But again, I hope it doesn't happen.
Right. It's bound to, right? With Stanton, we know him.
I just think it's bound with any team.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, when it happens and how
Right.
bad is it.
I always say in every sport, it's not about injuries, right? It's how your team prepares for injuries and how they react to it, right? Because like you said, it's gonna happen. Someone's gonna, like, we've never seen a season where like nobody's hurt, right? Like it's gonna happen. It's just how your team responds to it, right? If someone goes down, okay, next man up, whatever you want to call it, that's what's gotta happen. So, but I think just for the first time in a long time, like the Yankees are prepared for some injuries. Like they got the depth to handle it. So
yeah, we made it through that first week of spring training with the press conferences and everything and no injuries. But then you had the WBC, and that's another thing. A lot of people didn't want, especially our pitchers, to go off and play, because you don't want them to be gassed in the first month of the season.
True.
And Kyle Teal got hurt, Seiya Suzuki got hurt, both of which were on my fantasy team, so I was not happy about that. And then I'm just kind of you're essentially waiting, like, for who's the next domino to fall, because it seems like everyone's getting hurt. But everyone so far is good. So yeah, and again, we have the depth. So hopefully that if something does happen, they make smart decisions about how they go from there.
Great.
All right, I have some fun questions for you guys. So, who on your teams do you think is going to have an unexpected impact this season?
Who do you want to go first?
Yeah, Bob, you go first.
Either of you.
Okay, Brazoban. I think since pitching in the World Baseball Classic, there's a change in him. And the first couple of games, he's looked great for the Mets. And they were talking about it on Keith, Ronnie, and Gary were talking about it. He looks like a different pitcher all of a sudden. When he was on the Marlins, he was like the 12th pitcher, and they didn't pay attention to him, and they just let him go. He came to the Mets. They started working with him. He played in the WBC, and now I could see a difference between last year already and this year. So I think he is going to make a difference that people were not expecting in the bullpen.
I'm going to give a couple of guys. I'm going to go one with Greg Bird, right? So far.
Jake Bird.
Right. So much.
I miss Greg Bird too. It's okay.
Yeah, I know. He had a nice run. No, Jake Bird, right? I think he looks so much better than he did last season when he first showed up here. I think he's going to play a big part. And another guy that I think is going to step up, and he hasn't been as bad as what people think, is Austin Wells. I think he's going to have a really good season. I think playing with with the DR and in the WBC.
Yeah.
Is going to give him that little bit of boost, a little bit of, whatever. I think a lot of that's going to rub off on him. A little bit of confidence, a little bit of that.
And he has dad strength now. Can't forget about that.
Yes. So those would be my 2 picks. How about you, Madison?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Austin Wells. I mean, I hope that it's a good season for him because I feel like he's had a lot of up and down. I do think him, and I think if Ryan McMahon can figure out the bat, it's going to be huge.
Yep.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. All right, this is kind of a Yankee question, but I can change it for Rob too. So Chris, who is your favorite non-Judge Yankee on the team right now? And then Rob, who's your favorite we'll say Lindor Met? I just don't want a basic answer.
Or Soto, right?
Or Soto, yeah.
Soto,
Yeah. For me, I think it's Ben Rice. I think he's going to step it up big time this year. I love that he looks great defensively and he's put in the work. I love that because that was everybody's biggest question mark, right? Like, oh, can we trust him at first and all that? Man, he looked really good so far. So yeah, that ain't happening. He's not taking Rodon. Yeah, I would say Ben Rice right now is my favorite.
Okay, Rob, what about you?
Mine, like a non-Soto or Lindor. I would
don't
say,
give me a basic answer.
No, I'm going to say Brett Beatty because I think the kid is finally, I think he started last season to find it, and then he got hurt towards the end of the season. But I just think that he's found his bat. He's going to become what you thought he could become. And, he's a guy I said to Chris many times that the Mets, I'm glad they didn't trade him because if they have a problem with this infield, with Polanco and Bichette, they'll be all right because Beatty could, he's like McNeil, but I think he's going to be better than McNeil. So that's who my pick is. I'm very happy that the Mets didn't trade him, and I think he's going to get a lot of playing time all over the place, and I think he's going to have a good year.
Yeah, that was a good answer. I like that one. I think mine, I'm going to go the obvious route. It's going to be Carlos Rodon. If we're not taking
Rodon and Judge.
What?
Other than Rodon and Judge, because we know Rodon's your guy.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, it's a tie between JC Escarra because I think he has a lot of potential, and I was so happy that he made the roster. But I could also go with Paul Goldschmidt just because of the mentorship to some of the younger guys. So those would be my 2.
Good choice.
I feel like that's probably like the least basic answer I could give you.
That's good.
Yeah, and then my final fun question. If you guys were professional baseball players, what would your walk-up songs be? This is always a hard one.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Chris, you can go first.
I'll tell you one thing. Did you guys see Mason Miller's walk-up song or come out song, whatever? He's got Going Blind by Korn. If you want to look that up, Madison, after the show, look up Mason Miller. That was really awesome. I would definitely pick something heavy metal or rock, something in that, definitely in that vein. AC/DC, If You Want Blood, that song always gets me going. So, that's a good gym song. So I would probably use that one.
I would do 80s classic rock.
There you go. You got it. That's it.
I would do Rush, Limelight. I don't know. I'd do a Rush song. So that's my answer.
I'd probably do Don't Stop Believin' or Separate Ways, Worlds Apart, one of those. I like both of those.
Something more like getting the fans into it, a little more like you're not like, well, if you're at the gym and you're running on the treadmill or whatever, you got to get something to get the blood pumping or something,
Mm-hmm.
That way.
Yeah, that's always a hard question. I feel like every time someone because I've been asked that before, I'm like, I forget every song that I've ever heard. You just can't think of anything.
4 or 5 seconds. So you got to get something that's gonna like hit really good,
Yeah, I'll be like cleaning and I'll have like music in my AirPods and all of a sudden I'll like listen to, part of a song. I'm like, oh, this would be a good walk-up song. That's like my first thought.
When we ask the older players that we've had on about that, they could care less, right, Chris?
Yeah, exactly. They don't. That's probably their least favorite thing, right? Is
Yeah.
any
Really? You got to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was a fun show. Thank you both for joining me tonight. On Twitter, you can follow Rob at @rmaraska, and you can follow Chris at CP7NY, as well as their podcast at NY MLB Talk. You can also follow me at mdestefano14 on X, Instagram, and TikTok, and you can subscribe to the Generational Run podcast on YouTube. That's it for tonight, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Yep.